All right. We're all good and live now. Let me just make sure I can hear myself, and then we'll be all good to go. All right. Okay, yeah, we are. Okay, cool. I can mute that. All right. I was tempted to push this show back, but push it back a few minutes. You see what's playing on Sirius XM, man. I almost just listened to this song fully and just push the show back a few minutes. So when we're looking at Talladega, what I wanted to do, at least a little bit different from, it's a Talladega show. We all know what we're doing, or we all know what we should be doing. But I'm going to go ahead and go through not even projections, because projections, like, as I've been doing this over the years, I have found that it is more worth it to me to make realistic projections as if people don't wreck out. And then you can see who the good plays are, like straight up, and why they're popular, why they're good, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, when we get to Xfinity here, also, I'm a bit congested today. I do apologize for that. While we look at the Xfinity series, we see that optimals are slightly different from the Truck and Cup series, and we see people chase, trying to build the optimal more, and we see that there's more players coming from, or more drivers coming from the top 20 and stuff. But when we're looking at this race here, and we're looking at the people who are carrying good history entering these races, and the ability to finish on lead lap, and the ability to be up front for most of the race and stuff like that, like, it's pretty straightforward to tell who should be running up front. And clearly, everybody knows the way that I approach this is very much we stack from the back. I have no opinion one way or the other on Taylor Swift. I just don't listen to that music. So, like, for example, clearly, I don't believe you should be playing anybody above 20th. This should be your pool from 21st to 38th. That's how it should always be. If you want more information, watch the playlist that I made. That's like 6 hours long. Thank you, Andrew. We're already a few minutes in, 2 minutes. Great show. I appreciate it. And when we're looking at this here, hell, I can even show the projections. They're not, I'll show at least the projected finishing position, so we can figure out where ownership is going to come from and how it relates to DFS and stuff. And so when we evaluate every driver, you can look at them two ways: of one, how they finish in these races, and two, how they run. Okay, and the way that I typically look at it is who is dangerous for us, who's going to be racing. Like Smithley missing out. Like when you look at like Joey Gase, when you look at like David Starr, when you look at Patrick Emerly, these guys have been fantastic plays because they start in the back and they just ride there. It's a shame that they overqualified. It's a shame that Smithley didn't make the race because he's like the safest guy in these races. He just rides. He knows what the deal is and stuff. Also, secondly, as I've mentioned before, you can't compete in this series without leased motors. Like, that shouldn't be a storyline anymore. Oh, these guys have an ECR motor. Oh, these guys are leasing a Hendrick motor. Like, you all have to do that. That's just how the playing field is now. So when you're looking at where these guys are projected to finish and should finish, like we have literally Dale Earnhardt, reincarnated with Austin Hill. And we've seen that he carries a stupid amount of ownership of these races. If, yet again, when we look at every driver in these races, and you look at the amount of people wrecking out, and you look at races like this one, which we talked about, we're not going to bring up the CSV from last year's spring Talladega Xfinity race, but like that was a wreck fest. The Patreon members last year and myself did extremely well last year because we didn't play fucking anybody up front. Like Austin Hill literally is just like, can I X out of it? I did X out of it. So let's go ahead and bring up, the good old racing reference stats so we can just quickly get a bird's eye view of where these guys are at these racetracks. And yet again, we do not include Atlanta. Okay, Atlanta is its own thing. We don't include it. That is the pinnacle. That is the Aryan race, if you will, of super speedway. Like, that is the perfection. That's where everybody wants to go. And so that's like, on its own thing. We're not worried about Atlanta here. But when you look at how good Austin Hill has been here, and at these tracks, like, it's, yeah, sure, he's ran more issues at Talladega, but when you look at how he is, like, he is the best driver here. Okay, there's a reason why he's done so well at Atlanta, because Atlanta highlights the better drivers in these racetracks and stuff. And so, like, you got to project Austin Hill for first, and so due to people truly following projections. I was debating, or I was talking about this with somebody, and we were kind of bouncing back and forth. DFS in general, and specifically NASCAR, with how ownership has been moving towards um, certainly centralizing around the top lap leader, the more safer place differential plays. I feel like more and more players are just basing everything off of projections and contest sims and stuff. And when you specifically, and I'll talk about Saber Sim here in a bit, and or actually right here, and then we'll get back to like actually building for this. Yet again, I mean, it's Talladega Week. This is more so like if you guys got any questions you want to talk about, this is a fun stream. Like we all know where we're going. We're mainly doing this to figure out where ownership is going, which should be pretty easy. Anyway, what I'm finding is that a lot of things are centralizing around projections more than anything else. I don't really see a lot of true hand builders anymore, or lineups that are being built by hand and stuff like that at a bigger scheme than what it used to be. And when you start putting things into contest sims, which I have a lot of issues with, the contest sims that SaberSim offers, if you aren't putting in multiple different rules or your own, like Sheets does with his geomean calculator, like if you're actually using the contest sims and you know what you're doing and you're adding a lot of things to it, it's going to be incredibly viable for you and incredibly helpful. But if what we're finding and what I'm finding is that people are taking a lot of those base projections, going down to like the lowest two guys and changing the numbers so SaberSim can run it because, the terms of service indicates that you have to make some your own inputs. And then so like you do the bare minimum there, and then you run the lineups, and then you run contest sims, and then you sort by expected ROI, which we're seeing a lot of people do without any changes. And so when you're looking at the lineups that are being given based on true expected ROI, oh my God, this lineup is projected for plus 8,000 percentage return on your investment or whatever. And we're seeing that a lot of the people doing that are entering dead lineups, or entering lineups that aren't competing to be up top. And I mean, hell, we can even do it here because I'm sure as hell not using SaberSim today. And as you can see, we're making updates to the site to make things faster and stuff. So if you've seen changes this week and going forward, that is why. But like, for example, like if we're looking at the Xfinity race, which yet again, I haven't made projections or I haven't input in it because I hand build everything for these. But when you look at this, like we're seeing that Austin Hill, like, I mean, first off, like this is wild, man. Like these projections, because like it's overanalyzing place differential, which we'll talk about Jeb and Anderson here. But yet again, oh man, you can't make it. DraftKings requires you to adjust the projections. You can't just make so like everybody just goes to the bottom two guys and changes something, or they change their ownership, and bam, we can make it. And so like you just build all these bullshit lines, and we're gonna give it a real chance to give us lineups. And so when we're here, let's see what this gives us, and then we'll go back to doing this and stuff. I'm mainly just trying to think of other ways to approach this than just stacking the back. I mean, everybody who's been here for several years, who has made money with me over the years, the drill, but I'm trying to, or at least want to look at this. So I am curious on what it gives us, but even based on this, like starting up front, mid-pack, starting back, mid-pack. And so it's probably going to centralize around these guys, which, and I'm assuming this is what most people are doing, which I think you're using the sims incorrectly if you are just doing this without any adjustments and stuff. Or like even with I'm still not entirely sure how SaberSim reacts to own custom projections on the back end of this stuff. Like we haven't had a clear, true answer to that. Or at least one that isn't very sufficient for what I'm looking for the specific answer here. And so yet again, I don't plan on playing any of these lineups because I assume it's going to give me a lot of these guys up here. Anyway, while that calculates, when we start going through, and yet again, what I'm aiming for is to visualize the running order in these races and prioritize the people who are starting in the back of the field, who will be in the back of the field and avoid the wrecks, whenever that happens. Now, hopefully the wrecks come from the mid pack or the front of the pack. If these guys wreck for last, like, then those are my guys being involved in the wreck. But like, we can very easily envision that RCR is going to stay up front. So you have Austin Hill, Jesse Love, Parker, and basically an ECR car or an RCR car. Going to be running in the top 5 all day and stuff. We have Cole Custer, who's going to maintain in the top 10. Sammy Smith going to be top 10. Ryan Truex top 10, Chandler Smith top 10, because these are all the dominant cars. We see like Riley Herbst, and I'll talk about the reason why I have people highlighted in a second. You get to Williams, who is in the colleague cars, and we've seen that since you actually got like the good talented guys out of colleague, Haley, Chastain, like those 3 with AJ were dominant because they would just work together. Like Josh Williams and Hemrick don't have the fucking talent to be able to be up there and do that. Or SVG rather, because he was like new. So anyway, like Josh Williams going to run like 12th all day. We have Sheldon Creed with the Joe Gibbs car is going to be 9th. We have Alfredo, 13th. We have Patrick, who's going to ride in the back, moves back. So you move him to like 28th. You have Taylor Gray, Joe Gibbs car, going to be running in the 8th. AJ Allmendinger, wanting to lead, wanting to run up top. And that's another thing. Like, it's not just where they finish, but how do they run? How do these guys run aggressively? Most of these guys want to run up front. We've seen them be up front, especially in these bigger teams. Like, that's where they want to be. They very rarely ride. And so when you start looking at these guys here and you see, AJ, Sam Mayer, Justin Allgaier, like AJ specifically wants to be up front. AJ wants to run in the top 7 all day. Allgaier wants to run in the top 7 all day. And so once you start going through and looking at where everybody is and where they should finish and where they should run, yet again, removed from wrecks. This is why we don't project for, the wrecks here, so we can understand where people are going to be running and stuff. And so, is this done yet? Let's see if this is done. So, okay, so now that we're here, what I would advise people to not do, or at least be very aware of what's going on, is, so let's run good old contest sims. Let's give it a stupid name. Let's calculate for this, and we're just going to run the contest sims and see what it gives us without any changes. And it's going to probably prioritize stuff. And so, like, here right off the bat, like Saber Sim's like, fucking play Austin Hill, dumbass. Like, what a fucking stupid. It's so stupid. That is so wild. And yet again, the reason being is like, or not the reason being, but like Austin Hill's going to carry ownership. Those are dead lineups. I don't give a shit if he's scoring 50. I'm here for the race where he gets wrecked out and kills whatever amount of lineups that goes. And so when you sort by, which most people are doing, which I would still advise you to short by risk-adjusted ROI than ROI. Most of the time when people run these contest sims in SaberSim for NASCAR, they're like, okay, this is this. I want min uniques like 2, and I'm playing 20 lineups, and so that's it. And then bam, they enter that. And you can see, like, based on these exposures, like SaberSim is just fucking kicking you in the nuts here because they are like chalk place differential, Austin Hill, mid-pack, chalk, and then like there's no like low-owned plays, and so like if you're playing these, like risk-adjusted ROI is like, I mean, this lineup is going to be played. Like, why? So anyway, the reason I'm saying this is for people to just be aware, like, of what I have seen from these, and this isn't just for plate racing, but this is what is going on. We're typically seeing that they're, when you're sorting by risk-adjusted ROI, I haven't liked what SaberSim has been doing with that. And so personally, whenever I enter my custom projections for like any race, I'm not using contest sims. In fact, the only thing I will use in this is the cash rate to see how viable lineups are, because typically that, like, when you're looking by cash rate, it'll at least give you not as many bullshit lines and stuff. Like this one is very much more stacked from the back. It's still giving you Austin Hill, man. It's like you got to play Austin Hill, but that is really the only data point that I would look at. And so when I do run my own stuff, I mainly just glance at my highest projected lineups, just because SaberSim can build me my 5,000, and just so I can like go through, like, oh, if I want to play these guys, I can just like go through and be like, what is the best lineup that I could play with like these 4 drivers? And I can just scroll through and look through them very quickly and stuff. Like that's how I use SaberSim. Or I'll look at like cash viable stuff, or like the cash rate, because this is usually more accurate than the actual risk-adjusted ROI that the contest sims are giving us. Anyway, the reason I'm bringing that up is because we're going to very much see ownership centralized around the guys I have in green because they have fantastic data points entering this race. Let's go ahead and finish this out so we can see where everybody should be at and just kind of walk through things really fast. And so what we're doing here is we are basically giving us the base, or what I'm doing here is basically giving myself the baseline of where everybody should be. Actually, I should probably go back a little. I think like honestly, straight up, like in terms of like chalk plays who people might not be playing as much, like we'll talk about that in a minute here. Like Caesar is like so horribly talented. He's going to just ass plow his own teammates into wrecks. He has done that on numerous occasions. Like Caesar is so terrible. It is wild. Then you have like Anderson, who we'll talk about Anderson and stuff once we get there. Let me just finish this here. So like, 28. So when we're looking at where these guys are at and how they should run and finish, like we can very easily see the guys who should be up front. Like clearly it makes sense and stuff. And so when you start looking at place differential plays that are going to carry ownership, you need to be aware. And I highlighted Joey Gase because like fantastic history coming into this. It's a shame that he qualified so high up. But the guys who were highlighted in green are people who and not even just looking at this, like that's not even just looking at this based on like where they finished, but like let's see. So you're going to very easily see that like, wow. And I'm not just using this as the baseline. It's other things of like how aggressive they are, how much they run up front. But we're seeing, hey, man, Justin Allgaier. Hey, man, Austin Hill. Hey, man, Jeb Burton. Hey, man. Oops. Hey, man, Riley Herbst. Hey, man, AJ Allmendinger. Hey, man, Ryan Sieg. Hey, man, Sheldon Creed, which I actually not highlighted. But like, hey, man, Brandon Jones starting, what is he, 15th, 16th? Super here, 23rd. Hey, man, like basically, like all the guys highlighted here are people who are actually able to finish or run up front. Like, especially when you start looking at other guys in the back, like when we specifically look at like Earnhardt. Get old Earnhardt, man, if I can spell his goddamn name correctly. We look at his races here. We'll keep this in like the mini window. But like, this race when they were like Earnhardt, Jeffrey, we're like giving you the race, my guy. We're fixing the race for you. You just got to be there. What are you doing? And he threw it away. But, I mean, this is a transmission issue, but like running at the end, race, he wasn't able to capitalize here, but like running at the end, finished well, 28th, went a lap down, wasn't able to capitalize because they went green. Second, 15, 29, 20th. He's starting 34th. That's why, like, we're seeing guys highlighted based on what they're able to do. And we see that's where ownership is going. And yet again, like, that's why I make my own shit. Like, that's why, because I've never been happy with what, mean averages or mean projections or whatever, these guys use on whatever optimizer you're using and stuff. Also, I know I'm like trash talking SaberSim real fast. And this is specifically my critiques towards NASCAR and stuff, but I do use it personally for NFL, NBA, and stuff like that. If you guys do want discounted rates from SaberSim, if you want to try it out and stuff, like I'm talking about like the places that it lacks in contest sims and stuff that I found that I don't specifically like. But yet again, I do use it for my stuff. If you want a discounted rate, you can get that through us, through the link in the description below if you get a membership through us and stuff like that. But when we're here and we see where ownership should end up going, now that we've identified everybody in green of having, good data points entering the race, it's very much now, where is ownership going to go? We understand that. And truly, whether he be at 18, 20, I mean, and like, Jesus, dude, like, if you're playing Austin Hill, what are you doing, man? You're like playing things so incorrectly, it's wild. But in the back of the field, like who is going to carry ownership here? Jeb Burton. We have Jeffrey Earnhardt, who's going to, the main critiques with Jeb Burton and Jeffrey Earnhardt, like Earnhardt is going to push to be up front all day, or at least in the top 15, which we do not want from our driver. Like that is truly a high risk play of him not running the back. If he does anything but run the back, like he gives the uh, he has a very high likelihood of being caught up in a wreck or not capitalizing on the chaos because he might potentially be in the chaos. Same thing with Jeb Burton. We see that Jeb and Jeffrey both end up pushing much more earlier than personally I want from my drivers. We see Jeb, we see Earnhardt very much running both of them from like 21st to like 14th, like lap 60, lap 80, lap 90 of a lot of these races where I want them being last. I don't want them being up there battling it out with people. I want them to just ride last. I don't want them to be involved in the wreck. That is very, very risky for these drivers. And the fact that they are the most popular guys in the 30s, like I would want to be underweight on them. And the reason why they're so popular is because like projected finish just here, like 13th, 15th, that's where they should finish. That's where they are speed wise. That's where they are talent wise. But like we're not going to have a situation where we don't have wrecks. There's no reason to be with the field on people, especially at a race where everybody has a 65, if not 70% chance to be involved in a wreck. You want to play guys who are not going to be owned as much. Or Anderson is what I think is good chalk. Like, despite his team, Parker Retzlaff and Jeb Burton, who traditionally run up front in these races, Anderson does ride more than the other two drivers. We typically see him running around 28, 27 in the back of the field, waiting for the wrecks to happen. We all know his like suicide attempt when he almost got squished by his own truck when he was trying to get out of the fire. Like he runs in the back here. And so like, I want to be underweight on any chalk, but Anderson would be the person I would personally want more of than Earnhardt and Jeb Burton. In fact, I'm going to be very low on Earnhardt here, just because I just believe that's probably where a lot of ownership is going to end up landing on. But we can understand that Anderson, I can't even spell chalk correctly. We understand that Anderson, Earnhardt, and Jeb Burton are going to be very popular here. We understand that, and really past that, like even Ryan Ellis has really good, or at least safe finishes here. This is when we could start like looking at where I clicked the wrong one. I closed the wrong one. Let's go back to restrictor plates. Let's go back to Xfinity. Like when you look at Ellis and what he's been able to do here in these races, are you able to finish these races? Are you not able to finish these races? When he's finished, basically setting for 11th. He's been involved in a lot of wrecks here. And actually, like this one here, Cesar Bassarella. Ellis is running like DFL, just trying to survive. They wreck in front. They've been wrecking for like 10 minutes. Cesar just comes in and ass plows Ryan Ellis and takes him out of the race. Like friendly fire by his own teammate in the back of the field. There's no reason Ellis should have even been involved in this crash. It's wild, but he's riding the back late in the race. That's what we want. Involved in a wreck late, and that's at least all we can ask for. But Ellis is going to ride. Like Ellis, the fact that he has 2 11th place finishes and 5 starts at these tracks, like that makes him more playable, more likely. But in terms of identifying the chalk plays, these are the top 3 back here. I would throw Ellis as probably the 4th highest owned driver here. Past that, I don't foresee any true ownership landing on anybody here. So for me personally, I'm going to have a lot of Mason Massey, a lot of Ryan Ellis, a lot of Balicki. I'm going to have a lot of Leland. I'm going to probably have 30% Anderson. And that's where I'm at back here. I want to be underweight on Jeffrey. I want to be underweight on Jeb Burton. Once we get past that, we understand that ownership is very much going to land on, at least up here, Brandon Jones. We understand it's going to land on Ryan Sieg, Parker Retzlaff, Jeremy Clements has good history of finishing. And typically, Jeremy is typically riding. He's been involved in wrecks, but it's been early crashes, if I'm not mistaken here. If I can remember correctly. Jeremy is, I can't even spell him correctly. Let's look for his last name. We see that Clements, in the races that he is involved in, they're typically early crashes, if I'm not wrong. So let's see, lap 13, late in the race. So not the case there. or at least his last 3. But typically, if he's not involved in the early crash, he is able to finish in the top, or at least he's able to be running at the end. And these are last lap crash, second green, white, checkered, or first green, white, checkered out of regulation. And this is the third or second green, white, checkered out of regulation. So he has been running at the end of the races and just being caught up in the last lap crash and stuff. As we move on, like clearly Justin Allgaier is going to carry ownership, and we've shown through, just what Sabres have been showing, like these are the people that, builds are willing to go to. Even if you remove Austin Hill and we remove that, we look at, okay, let's give us more lines, brother. Come on. You made like fucking 2,700 lines. Let's just do the baseline so we can see where everybody's coming in at. And so you see where ownership's coming in at, and it's just coming in on all of the chalk plays or the people that we have identified based on their track history, based on their mean projection, based on where they're starting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so where I'm at and what I have done for years, and yet again, there is, 9 plate races. Yet again, not including Atlanta. 3 Daytona, 2 Talladega, 3 5. Yeah, so we got 9. The way that I build for is, let's say on average, each of those is like a $300 entry fee. So you got 3, 9, 12, 15, 18, 20. So $2,100 between, actually 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So like between like 6 to 7 of those, I'm expecting to just burn the entry fee. Like if it goes green, if they don't wreck, like I enter every year expecting to burn around, at least 6 to 7 of those slates in the realm of like $2,100 if they don't wreck out or anything. Because I'm building specifically for all of these lineups that, yes, they're leaving salary on the table, but they're like, the chalk lineups or the chalk plays or plays that people are going to play and stuff. And so I build specifically for these lineups to not work. And typically, if I can get 1 or 2 of those slates between the 9 plate races, it more than makes up for it. And so for me, the people that I'm wanting to focus on is anybody but these guys who are carrying ownership. And yet again, I'm not playing anybody from like 20th on up. And so when I'm looking at where I want to be at, yet again, any of these guys run into issues. Anybody involved in this gets involved in a wreck. Mason Massey starts 38th, gets involved in a wreck, finishes 36th. That would be that'd be 7 points. Okay, Mason Massey scores 7 points. We get, Justin Allgaier starting 18th, gets involved in a wreck, finishes. I'm already outscoring anybody up here in these. If anybody up here is involved, Mason Massey passing 2 people, then get involved in a wreck is outscoring these guys. And so Mason Massey, like by default, cannot score probably worse than like 25th out of the entire field. When we're looking at DraftKings points and DraftKings scores, okay, well, let's see, 38, 2 points. There will be at least probably 8 to 10 people scoring negative if we get enough wrecks and stuff. So yeah, Mason Massey scoring 7 points ends up being the 25th, 26th, 27th highest DFS score. So I would just lean into that. So anyway, the people that I'm wanting to play are the people that ownership isn't on, and so it's all of these fellas here. Not Ryan Sieg. So like this is where majority of my lineups will be built. Now, once I'm at this point, I am like, Caesar sucks. We all know that. We don't need to completely make fun of him because we already do that a ton anyway. When we look at Caesar, did I even spell his name correctly? I did not. Dude, what is with these, like, I was gonna say weird ass name. Caesar. What a foreign name. What an exotic name. Race went green, didn't do anything. Literally finished 6th last year. Helped a lot of us finish top 10 in the contest. That is literally his only finish ever of like not being involved in a crash. By far the worst play on the slate. I want at least 25% of Caesar because when he does work out and he does make it through, like that's how you make money. That like last year's like Xfinity Spring can cover so many of the races that go green and stuff like that. So like Caesar, terrible on paper, absolutely horrific. I want at least 25% of Caesar because nobody should be playing this fucking guy. When I look at Matt DiBenedetto, you know, in terms of chalk plays or people that have true talent, these races specifically, and that understand how to maneuver through the pack. If everybody's going to Jeffrey, if everybody's going to Jeb, I'll take the lower on Matt DiBenedetto. Haley Deegan, you know, I've been on. It's hard, you know. It's so hard, man. I've been wanting to see some improvement. I can't spell fucking anybody's name today. Where are we at, Deegan? Is she? Oh, nice. I don't even think it's my fault. I don't believe Race and Reference even has her on here. Let's see. Nope. Nice Race and Reference. Not even listed on here. Fantastic. But like Haley Deegan, like, man, she's involved in so many crashes at these tracks. Regardless of like, oh, she doesn't have talent at the other track. She's been involved in so many fucking crashes at super speedways. It's ridiculous. Like every ARCA race she started, been involved in so many in the truck series, got involved in the wreck here at Daytona in the spring. Like very much another Caesar. Although like Haley might even carry ownership because like people are seeing like, oh, who has a good motor here? Who's fast? Who can get through? Oh, it's Jeffrey, it's Jeb. Haley Deegan has a good car. And so like I'm very hesitant on playing much Haley Deegan because I feel like that's the pivot that everybody's going to use. Like, oh, I got to play somebody in the back. I'll just play Haley Deegan. Like, she wrecks a lot. She's a girl. Starting 31st. Like, I'm very, very hesitant on like a micro level of Haley Deegan carrying more than like 12-13% ownership. And so like I'm kind of just pulling her from the pool truly. And so like between everybody highlighting green, that's who I'm building with, you know? And at least for this video, I try to go differently. Instead of just starting here, we went through everything else and then got to here versus normally I'm not going through all that stuff. So like, you know, and yet again, if this race is involved in a wreck late in the race, if we have a green, white checkered, once we start pushing, you know, whatever the case may be, who is going to be involved in a wreck? Who's going to make a mistake? We typically, especially at the end of the races, we typically see the wrecks coming from the leader, second place, third place, fourth place, blocking a line, making a dumb move, going for a win, whatever. That means they're wrecking guys from like 6th to 14th and stuff. Who's going to be up there? All the guys listed here, all the chalk plays that are listed here. So that's why you don't necessarily want them. And then, you know, this race ends under green or, you know, it rains out and everybody comes over to me and calls me a dumbass for the fucking 20th time. But that's how I approach these and stuff. So let's see what you guys are saying. And yeah, 42 you guys here early on a Saturday. I don't know why I'm so congested. I'm so sorry. Like it's getting worse and worse as this go. Oh, you weren't saying great show. You're saying great shirt. Yeah, like I'm looking like that's also why I did the show so early because like I love me some ARCA series, man. These brain dead idiots. Oh my God. Let's tear some stuff up. Please, ARCA. Let's tear some stuff up. But yeah, the ratio of, yeah, like it is down. And like and this is me like highlighting all the negative things I don't like about SaberSim, and that is literally like the 4 or 5 points I brought up. Everything else is the top of the line. Like SaberSim is the pinnacle of optimizers, of sims. We're seeing nearly all of the big players use it. Like if they are an Opto Bro or a true MME player, they're using SaberSim over Fantasy Cruncher, over Fantasy Labs, over I fucking don't even know other name. But they like if you're spending the money for one of those sites or one of those tools, SaberSim is the top of the line. Like that's why I criticize it so much because I want it to be better. I don't want to have to go through and be like, oh, I don't like this output, or I don't like this, or I got to be aware of this and stuff. Like I want it to get better because I do like using it and stuff. But we're seeing, I think that's the true reason why we're seeing such condensed ownership, especially, you know, as I mentioned, you know, we're seeing that we see a lot of ownership towards specifically Xfinity and Truck Series of like the PD guy, like the Gray brother last week at Texas, which yet again I'm overweight on as well. But we're coming to a forefront of not only is a lot of players who are like, I'm just going to lock in the place differential and do a lot of 1v1s, 2v2s and that. We're also seeing like the sims and the builds do that as well. So we're seeing that is pushing ownership up. Like being aware of what's happening in the industry, how it's changing stuff is something that you need to be aware of and everything. And again, I'm just speaking out loud and stuff like that. What else? Thank you, 80. I don't know, very little thoughts on stacking the back. Who knows? Yeah, dude, I want. Hopefully, we can just see some big old wrecks. I want to see some flips, man. I want to see a catch fit. I want to see a career ender. Let's put somebody in the fence on the front straightaway, not into turn 3, not on the back straightaway. Let's tear the fence down and make Talladega have to deal with repairing the fence in a rainstorm tomorrow. That'd be awesome. Anyway, so that's kind of where we're at. If you guys want to shoot the breeze or talk some dumb stuff, we can. Oh my god, dude. I'm just a troll, man. I literally just troll on Twitter, like especially when it's random people. Like this is how I get my kicks, man. I'm not entertaining anybody else. I'm not annoying anybody else. It's literally just me annoying somebody who's actually like answering like realistically. Oh man, I love Twitter. I love a troll, man. Oh man. So anyway, past that, hopefully they wreck. Last year was wildly destructive in this fall race, or in the spring race rather. Almost out of character. And yet again, speaking of that timeline that we mentioned, entering Daytona, of where Stack from the Backs and Wreckfest happened, the last one that truly happened was the spring race last year here at Talladega. What the hell is wrong with this? The fall race. Oh man. Let's see. That's not what I wanted to do. Dude, what is with racing reference? Like, why? Like this race, I'm looking for. Oh no, it was this one 9. I guess I just read it wrong. Okay. So we look at this race, like everybody fucking died in this race. They just kept on killing each other. Hamrick goes in the fence, hitting the grandstand, knocking down cameras or not the grandstand, but he's hitting the fence and everything. Like this was amazing. This was perfect. Look at how terrible guys came through. And this is a race where we had a huge chalk play in the back. We really don't have a super chalk play outside of Jeb and Jeffrey Earnhardt this week. And so that's kind of why the pool for me, I don't feel the need to go up higher, because like if I just avoid certainly these two, I'm not playing any of these guys, I'm pretty happy with all the lines I can build here. I'm probably going to do 15. I've been debating 20, but like I'll just do 15 today. What else we got? What else are you guys doing here? Yeah. Oh, you clearly have not been here, Parlay Pirate. I am the worst type of motorsports fan. I am just here for crashes. That is the only reason I watch NASCAR. Truly. Straight up, I'm just here for crashes. That's where I'm at. Who will be your highest exposure for a guy in the back? I have not. It's certainly going to be probably 65 or 70 between a couple people. Probably 3. If you go to that playlist that I keep linking, I didn't link it here. I guess I can. Let me find it real fast for you. Because I think just answering, well, my highest exposure guys will probably be Mason Massey, Ryan Ellis, Leland, Malicki, Cram, Caesar. Like, I don't think that's going to help you. But then again, like, I'm going to have like fucking 5 guys, 6 guys I'm like 65, 70% on. Like if you, I know it's a lot. I know it's like 6 hours and stuff, but there truly is not a better playlist on the YouTube related to this. Let's let's see. Let me get this here. Like, this playlist is my exact process that I've used for 7 years, and it's still working. It's working just fine. If you ever want to see like how I specifically build for these races, that is literally my exact process in that. So like the people I'm going to be highest on, I'll probably have 6 drivers I'm 70-65% on, if not higher. And I mean, even past that, I don't think I'll have anybody under 35% between these guys in green. Everybody here in green is going to be 35 to 70% owned. So I don't know if that answer specifically helps you. I'm just playing ownership. Like that's all you play. You changed the freaking name, Dave. Dadgummit, dude. At least I know you're Dave now. I'm actually more of a fan of, like, I mean, that Rusty Wallace flip isn't going to happen because they don't got grass there. But I really, really liked all the Gen 4 flips, man. Those are amazing. Those are fantastic. What else? I think that's really about it. I think we've talked about everything. Because it's Talladega. What else we're going to talk about? Yeah, I do believe that's it. I will be live tomorrow, probably same time, 10 a.m., 10:15 a.m. Eastern time and stuff. I don't know if I'm going to stay up for the F1 race because that starts at 2 here. If I know for sure we're going to get rained out early, I mean, even with the rain out, I don't know what time I'm going to go live tomorrow. It'll probably still be 10. Doesn't matter. I think there is a real chance that we do get the race started tomorrow, the Cup Series rather. I think we race tomorrow. That's where I'm at. It'd be delayed, but I think we race tomorrow. And if that happens, that's mainly why I'm not entering more lineups today. Because I think if we do race tomorrow, we're racing to rain. Like, we're racing halfway. I pray to God they get dumb. Oh, lastly, that Bubba Wallace tweet was hilarious. Like, that is so goddamn funny. I love Bubba Wallace, man. His humor is out of this world. If you guys haven't seen it, it is, I retweet it because I just think it's funny. I just think this is the funniest thing. And I'm so pissed off I never thought of Bubbles. That makes me so angry. I'm so mad about that. I never thought about calling him Bubbles. And I don't think I will ever call him Bubba again. He is Bubbles to me. Like, oh my God, this was hilarious. I almost cried when I saw this. I was laughing so hard. He's right. Even he knows he didn't win Talladega. Come on now. But yeah, hopefully we can just root for Rex, and hopefully so many idiots just play Austin Hill, man. I cannot believe we're gonna get a pole sitter at Talladega carrying like over 20% ownership. That is just so stupid. That's so dumb. That is insane. Hell, even if I was if I was like truly chasing stuff, I mean, it would be lineups like this. That's why these are like bad lineups, because these are the ones that, like, oh man, like realistically, this is how it goes. It would go like these. So yeah, sure. ROI is cash rate. I mean, cash rate is fine. Win rate. Let's see what SaberSim is saying. Yeah, it's like these. Like, yet again, not bad. SaberSim is not bad. However, like, these are very much going to be popular types of builds, popular lines. I just personally don't want to be on that. I want to prioritize having non-duplicated lines, and I want to prioritize the guys in the back and just surviving wrecks and taking those lineups out and stuff. Anyway, that's it. I will. What time is ARCA? I don't know. I think it's at noon. I think it's in 2 hours. Could be wrong. I don't know. I just hang out. Once I get done with this, I finish my lineups and I just hang out in Discord and jaw around with my friends as we get ready for the ARCA race and stuff. But yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow. Best of luck. Hopefully they wreck. If they don't wreck, you know how it goes. You just piss away. Just throw away $300. So yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Best of luck, and hopefully they wreck. Root for Rex, and I will see you guys later.